Hello my fellow witches, I hope that you're having a good one wherever you are. I can't believe it's already end of November, beginning of December. Litha is coming up fast, and Litha is one of my favorite rituals. When I first came out as pagan to my parents, to my mother, it was on Litha, and I'll never forget she bought me a tarot deck. And the tarot deck means more to me than any of the other tarot decks I've got. And yes, I've got a couple. Just a few. So today we're going to be talking about tools and the tools that witches use. And before we even get started, I think the number one thing to know or to keep in mind is that any tool you use is simply an extension of yourself. If you are sitting in the middle of a office and you can't do anything particularly witchy, but you'd like to cast a protection bubble around yourself, use your finger, use your intent. Your intent is number one when it comes to doing any work that you need to do. Also, with your tools, you need to treat them with utmost respect. If you don't like your tool, or you don't trust your tool, or you abuse it in some way, and you don't find it peaceful, stimulating, or charged with power or whatever, then the divine is not going to feel that either. Making your tools is a great way of making sure that it has your energy in, and it's personalized, and you love it, and you're happy to use it to work. Keep in mind that anytime you make a tool that is yours and yours alone, and resonates with your soul, then if it pleases you, it will please the gods as well. And we always want them on our side. If you can't make your own tool, there's no problem with buying a tool. I have several items that I absolutely love that I've bought, especially for instance at the Mason Swords. Not many of us have the facilities to make these. If you do want to buy a tool, shop around first. Check out all the shops in your area, check online, and then once you're pretty sure that the one that you're looking at is the one, then get that one. Just remember, when you take it home, you need to cleanse it, do something to personalize it so that it's got your own energy in it, and then once you've done all of that, you need to consecrate it. Again, I just want to put in there that you need to respect your tools. If you abuse them like you would a dog, or misuse a dog, then it's going to snap. Same way, it's going to backfire on you. History of tools. I think the absolute earliest that any of us know about tools is from caveman days, but it would have come even from before that, because there's research that shows that apes, I think specifically gorillas and monkeys, use tools to get their food and to make their own bedding, that kind of thing. So if we want to talk about tools, we can go all the way back to then. When it comes to magical tools, the earliest tool that we know of was a tarot deck, and it showed the 4 basic magical tools which most tarot decks still use. There is the swords, wands, pentacles, and chalices. I found this beautiful piece that was written by, I'm not sure, I think it's in the Key of Solomon. The blade is the sword of reason. The wand is the lance of intuition. The pentacle is the shield of valor, and the chalice the well of compassion. The wand and the chalice are the oldest known tools of our trade, with the pentacle and the athame coming in later. Altars. Well, you've probably seen the 2 videos where I transformed an old shrine that I had into something more along my taste, because I don't do the bling thing. But lots of religions, even your Christian and Judaism and Islam, they all have altars or shrines or something to this effect. I mean, if you go into a church, 99% of them will have an altar right at the top, right in front. And this altar is used as a space, a sacred space, where you can do all your workings. Your altar can be as personal or as minimalist as you like. I find that having specific altar cloths for the different seasons helps me visualize where we are in the wheel of the year, what is important at that point of the year. Little things like in spring I'll put a vase of flowers. In winter I'll often use dead leaves. I love leaves, dead, live, whatever. Leaves are just beautiful for making your altar space your own. In autumn it'll be autumn leaves, and then in summer it'll be flowers as well, the summer flowers. I also like to use fruit or vegetables because they're symbolic of the earth and the changes that the earth are going through. I mean, for instance, if you put seasonal fruit on your altar, that'll be absolutely beautiful, absolutely perfect. Strangely enough, I came across this. In Western society, the concept of having an altar in the home is often frowned upon. In the East, almost every household has an altar, and in many instances, almost every room in every home has one. I noticed when I was following Shinto very closely that they had little altars everywhere. The most common one was a kamidana, and that one I absolutely love the idea. You'd put it against the wall or on a shelf, and it would be higher than your height, and you never stand in front of the altar, you always stand to the side of the altar. You don't address the spirits or the gods or goddesses, you never address them directly. You stand to the side, respectfully. Interesting factoid: the word altar comes from Latin and means material for burning sacrificial offerings. With your sacred space, your altar, please don't go putting dirty stuff or random bits of stuff or your cell phone in the middle of it. You know, it's a sacred space. You've got to care for it and you've got to keep it sacred. Otherwise, it will come back to bite you. Your altar shouldn't become stagnant, like I said, with adding fruit or veg of the season. You want to add objects and take objects away and have your altar be a representation of you at that moment in time. If things are cluttered, your altar is going to be cluttered. If you're busy looking for healing, use lots of blue items, use lots of clean smells, clean smelling incense, a scented candle that's in a nice clean scent, or blue candles. You know, you want your altar to change and to represent who you are in that moment in time. Your altar will obviously over time grow as you get different tools. Some tools will be replaced, others will be added. As you grow in your spiritual workings, you'll have, for instance, instead of just having sage incense, you'll now have a piece of white sage. You know, it'll grow, it'll change as you go, and that's correct. That's the way it should be. The way it works in a number of neo-paganism beliefs is that the left is usually reserved for the goddess or the feminine power, and the right is kept for the god and the god powers and the masculine powers. Representations of the goddess: there's chalices, there's goddess candles, there's a picture or a figurine, or for instance with my Thoth and bust figurines that I made, bust will be on the left hand side and Thoth will be on the right hand side. In the middle of these two, in between the left and right, is what is called neutral ground. This is where you'll put your offerings, your bits and pieces for doing your magical work. For instance, a puppet or a photograph of the person that you are doing the spell for, a little pentacle, offering holders, a seashell, or whatever you're using to place your offerings in. Then the problem comes with items that are a little bit big to put on your altar. So yes, just two indications of what I've heard. but you could put these items in such a way that it'll help you to be able to work with it. For instance, if a cauldron is too big, a cauldron is generally a feminine power, a feminine energy, so I'd keep that to the left. A broom is both sacred to God and Goddess, so you could put it on either side. Remember that everything that I'm telling you now is merely a guideline, things I've picked up through the many years I've been doing this, and some of the ideas are ideas of what I keep in mind at all times. Please, your religion is yours alone. Nobody can tell you what to do, and if they do, poke them in the eye with anathema. No, I'm just joking, don't do that. Here's a couple of do's and don'ts for your altar. Don't touch your altar until you've washed your hands. Don't place your altar in the bathroom or next to a wall that touches the bathroom or touches the room of a person who you consider troubling, worrying, a little you. Don't put your altar on or next to objects with strong electromagnetic current. Electromagnetic energies can mess around with the energy that we use in our workings. Don't put your altar next to or under objects with questionable contents. Yeah, you don't want a dead rat on top of your altar. So yeah, I wouldn't put that on my altar. Maybe after it's been cleansed and you've cleaned it and it's just the skull and bones. That's cool. But a dead, dirty rat, maybe not so much. And no, I'm not putting down rats. I have had rats myself and I absolutely love them. Also, you just want to make sure that your altar is somewhere where it's not going to be constantly bumped against and messed around with. One of my biggest problems at the moment is the domestic lady that we have that comes in once a week to help me clean. She keeps trying to clean my altar and I have to tell her every time, no, please don't touch my altar. I mean, I get she's just trying to do her job, but I don't want people touching my stuff. Isn't that a line from Moulin Rouge? I think so. Okay, let's look a little bit more detailed into each of the different tools that I've mentioned. Altar cloths, like I said, they're brilliant for setting a tone. They also help prevent damage, dirt and grime, because you can quickly and easily take them off, chuck them in the wash, hang them up, and then put them back when they're nice and dry and clean. Amulets, a lot of witches like amulets or pendants or whatever you wish to call it. You can have one as simple as you like or one as complicated as you like, but just make sure that it's something of meaning to you. One thing that I picked up at one stage, there was this whole fashion going around of wearing a rosary around your neck for pagans, and I find that disrespectful. What do you think? I mean, you're taking another religion's symbol, putting it around your neck and walking around with that. It's a misrepresentation of who you are and what you're doing. Athames. The ritual knife or athame is one of the prime Wicca altar tools. With your athame, it doesn't have to be metal. I've seen the most beautiful knives made out of selenite, and I'd love one of those as a athame, as I have a selenite wand that I use, and I think those would match up beautifully. Keep in mind that your athame is not used as a knife. It is not used for cutting paper or stirring things. So it's very often athames that you pick up at the shops will be blunt, and it's safest to keep them that way. There are a number of thoughts on getting blood on your athame or hurting yourself with your athame, and then you have to discard it. I mean, I know there's beliefs that where they don't believe that, but that seems to be quite a common theme again through neo-paganism. Good thing with athames is they can also be used to cut energetic ties. Once again, it's a symbolism of your intent. It's an extension of yourself. So, attire, who doesn't like a good robe? I mean, really. Beautiful robe with a hood and flowing and gentle and perfectly suited to your personality. There's a number of covens, etc. that work sky-clad, meaning clad only by the sky. However, there's very few covens that actually do that, I think, nowadays, as people are just so self-conscious of the way they look. And I don't know about you, but I wouldn't feel comfortable prancing around with all my wobbly bits hanging out. Interesting bit of history. In the days of the persecutions, many wore dark-colored robes, as it is easier to disappear into the forest at night when you wear a darker color. When the hood was pulled over the face and the hands hidden in the cloak, the witch could squat down next to a tree and become invisible to the persecutors. This is reportedly the origin of the legend that witches could vanish into thin air. How cool is that? I absolutely love that. However, I suppose black robes nowadays are linked to Satanism, so a lot of neo-pagans will stick with colored robes. Personally, my favorite robe is my black robe. Apparently, a lot of witches prefer to dress up in medieval clothing instead of wearing a robe. Then we come to the issue of the cord. A lot of people use the cord to make the robe look a little bit better and fit it around their bodies, but it's believed that they are actually quite a important part of a person's attire. Many witches wear it around the waist. Generally, the length of the cord is from the top of your head to the bottom of your foot. Way back when, a knot would be tied at the ankle, the knee, the waist, the navel, and the shoulder. Traditionally, in the burning times, people would measure these knots to their body parts to make sure that you were not an imposter who was trying to infiltrate the coven. How cool is that? Bells! Tinkle, 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 tinkle. Bells are like the voice of the goddess. When you ring one, it brings the divine's attention to you and your attention back to the divine. Book of Shadows is possibly one of the most important altar tools. With the Book of Shadows, I'm not going to go into that now because I want to do a whole Book of Shadows video with you guys. Drop a comment down below, or even better, send me a picture of your Book of Shadows, and then I can put together like a collage of everybody's Books of Shadows. I think that'll be really cool, and then people can get ideas from what you've done and what you use. Your Book of Shadows can obviously be as intricate and leather bound as you like, or it can just simply be a notebook that you scribble down on such and such date I did this, and meh, it seemed to work. Brooms are not a necessity, but I enjoy having a broom or a besom just for cleansing. I find it very useful. Then you've got the bowline or bowline or burin, which I have no idea how I'm supposed to pronounce that, where your athame was used for energy work, and was not used for cutting stuff. Your bowline was. It was used to gather herbs. It's considered a utility knife kind of thing. It was normally white handled with a curved blade, and you could use it to harvest branches from trees, cut ropes, prepare herbs and spices. It was definitely like the multi-tool. Like the athame, the bowline is mentioned in the book titled King of Solomon, Book 2. In chapter 8 of the knife, sword, penknife, iron pen, short lance, wand, and other instruments of magical art, and states, the knife with the white hilt should be made in the day and hour of Mercury, when Mars is in the sign of the ram or of the scorpion, and continues with this knife thou mayest perform all the necessary operations of the art, except the circles. The athame and bowline complement each other, as one will do the work that the other one can't. For instance, the bowline was very rarely used as a energy working. As I said, it was more the working tool. Bowls are actually quite important. I find that especially with offering bowls, you want something pretty, something decorative. You don't want to just use one of your bowls out of your kitchen cupboard. One of my favorite bowls that I use is actually just a really big shell, but it looks really cool and I like the symbolism. Candles are so important to what we do and how we do. One candle, normally each quarter will have its own colored candle. These candles would be used to invoke the powers of to invoke and hold the powers of each direction or each quarter, each element. Then you've got your god and goddess candles. Normally they're larger than your direction candles, normally pillar candles. I find that really large candles are a bit of a problem as you get further and further down, as you struggle to start lighting them. There are so many options for your god and goddess candles. I mean, you could use white, red, or black for representing the Maiden Mother Crone. Then you've also got your working candles. We all know a little bit about candle magic: blue for healing, pink for love, etc., etc. I'm not going to go into too much of that because I'm going to do a whole video on that as well. Cauldron. Cauldron is normally a 3-legged rounded cooking pot. You can get really big ones, you can get really little ones, you can get beautiful ones, you can get copper ones, you can get iron ones, you can get the possibilities and the options are endless. Another really important tool, the chalice. A cup or wine glass of any material will do, or even a bowl if you need to. Normally I'd have a little bit of moon water in it when I'm doing my workings. I really enjoy using glass, although a close second favorite would have to be silver. I'm quickly going to skim through the rest of these. Dowsing rod. These are sticks or rods used to locate water or oil. Drums, primarily used in shamanism. The drum is gaining a completely new fan base in magical workings. I think at this point most of us either have been to or know of a drumming circle. It is amazing. I haven't been to one in so long. I desperately need to find another one. Incense. Where do you even start with incense? It's been a staple for many, many years, especially in Buddhism. It was really, really hectic. One thing that I found quite interesting is that a Christian friend of mine said that when they brought frankincense and myrrh to baby Jesus when he was in the manger, that they were actually bringing that as incense. I thought that was really cool. Essential oils. I think I should do a video on incense and essential oils, and maybe pop in those into the candle video that I do, candles video that I do, because there's so many associations, and this color goes with this scent, etc., etc. So that's a whole other thing. We normally use oils in paganism to anoint candles, consecrate tools, cleanse yourself, and then obviously they're really good for massages as well. I need a foot massage. Yeah. Pendulum. I'm going to read this piece that I found about pendulums. Another means of divination. The pendulum has a scrying history that goes back to the late 300s or even earlier. Early scrying methods would use a ring attached to a silk thread, which in turn had to be attached to a living laurel branch. While the branch was held steady, the pendulum would proceed to swing within a metal bowl which had letters written inside or on it. The letters that were touched upon by the pendulum would in turn be used to spell a verse, which would predict any number of future events. How cool is that? Other divination techniques. I'm going to do a video on divination techniques, I think, because that is also just way too much to try cover now. Crystals. We all know a little bit about crystals. Crystals are great for representing the earth element. However, you can find colors of the different quarters in crystals and then use those as quarter markers. Well, that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one. Blessings have been given, blessings have been received. May the love of the Lord and Lady remain forever in our hearts. So mote it be.